One Voice Live. I'm your host, Alex Zito, and I'm joined today with Phillip Cole White. He is a Bobcat from Texas State, a one-voicer, and one of my very best friends.
Yes.
Thanks for being here, Phillip.
Thank you for having me.
So, a few facts about Phillip before we jump into our interview. Phillip is a Scorpio from Bedford, Texas. He's had all kinds of jobs from a security officer to an anime voice actor. He played Aunt Eller. Aunt Eller? How do you say it?
I say Aunt.
Aunt Eller, I feel like that's appropriate. In Texas State's production of Oklahoma. And he once got kicked out of a bar defending One Voice's honor. True story. Great. Shall we jump in?
Yes.
So I would just love to first hear about how you got started singing.
Well, I've always loved singing.
Mm-hmm.
I've been singing ever since I was a little boy. Yes, I have very fond memories of owning a karaoke machine as a child and singing with it. And
what was your go-to karaoke song?
on that machine, I would sing Blue, the Leanne Rimes song, Blue.
Yeah. Mine was Breathe.
Ooh, yeah, I think country was like
the thing at the time. Yeah.
Karaoke.
Do you remember one of the first shows you were ever in?
Yeah. Well, the first
talk about it.
The first musical I ever did was Oliver.
Oh.
Yeah, but I didn't.
How old were you?
First musical I was 7 or 8.
Okay.
First play I did I was 4.
Well, we'll put his resume down below. Tell us the Guys and Dolls story.
Oh, the Guys and Dolls. Yeah, so in 6th grade, my elementary school, oh my gosh, Bell Manor, go Bobcats. I was a Bobcat.
Oh, Bobcat for life.
Yeah, Bobcat for life. And I actually was an acting coach at an elementary school, and they were Bobcats. So I've always been sort of a Bobcat.
Cut to you get killed by a Bobcat. That was really dark.
Yeah, no, that could. Okay, so yeah, we did Guys and Dolls Junior when I was in 6th grade, and I was cast as Sky Masterson.
I love that for you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that was probably my biggest role that I had done at that time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cute. Great. And how was singing for Guys and Dolls?
It was a lot of fun. I definitely, when Marlon Brando did the role, he more, spoke it, but I went to town. I was singing on it. Yeah, it was a really funny experience. I was the only actor in the cast that didn't have an understudy. Mm. The only lead who didn't have an understudy. Mm-hmm. And did you want me to tell the story?
Yeah. Yes.
And it was funny because when I saw the cast list, I noticed that I was the only one who didn't have an understudy, and I low key knew that it was because no one else could do it.
No one could fill your 6th grade shoes.
No one. But because I was a showman. I was the kid who really wanted it. Mm-hmm. I knew from the very beginning that I wanted to be an actor. The majority of the cast, they were hacks, No, but they were just having fun.
Right.
And I was taking it very seriously. Anyway, I knew, I was I probably, don't have an understudy because no one else, could do it. And I needed to know, I needed to hear my teacher say it.
Yeah.
So one day, after class, I was I won't say any names. I almost said her name. Oh my God, we're live. I was why don't I have an understudy? And she was well, because Phillip, no one else can do it.
And you were
and I was just okay, I guess this means I have to do it. So anyway.
That's so funny.
Yeah, but
moral of the story is Phillip has been extra since birth.
Yeah, but our Sarah Brown, she knocked me down a peg or two. Yeah, that was a dramatic run. I found out that that my co-star, she said about me to one of the other cast members that Phillip is a great actor. He's a great actor, but he's not a great singer. Yeah. And I found that out, and yeah, it hurt. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it hurt.
And thus was born a narrative.
Yeah. Ever since, throughout my life, I've always been insecure about singing. no thanks to her. Yeah, it was always very much like, oh, I'm a good actor, but singing is like, and so it's something I've always been like self-conscious about. And yeah, but yeah, it was actually, I had a good time doing that show. It was very, I remember like the day of, we were like, we still don't have a suit for Philip. And so I was like, Dad, can I wear your suit? And I'm wearing this like oversized, like literally like my arms couldn't reach out of the jacket. Yeah. And I went on and because I was so insecure about how I sounded, I was just like overacting everything and like using my arms, like, let me a lady tonight. But because I was so like physically activated, like everyone was so impressed. They were like, oh my God, he's up there like using his arm. Like everyone
using his arm.
Yeah, like everyone was like so blown away by me because I had all this energy. Because I had something to prove, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I was convinced everyone was like, oh, but he's just not a very good singer. Yeah, and I remember too at a curtain call, and I remember whenever our teacher, I almost said her name again. I remember her saying when she was staging the curtain call, you gotta bow fast, and because people were lollygagging and ruining the flow,
of course,
which we all know, like you bow and then you move on.
Yes. Pick up your keys.
Yeah, pick up your keys, and I was like all about doing what the director said and being good, and so my instinct was to go out there, take a bow really fast, and run off the stage. When I went to go take my bow, the audience literally went nuts. Like, went nuts.
Oh my gosh.
And the thing to have, but I did my bow and I ran off. And I remember, and this is actually, I've never shared this with you, but my dad was like, Philip, like, they went crazy for you. You should have taken more of a moment. You should have, like, taken your bow. And I was like, no, Dad, like, you're supposed to do it really fast and then run off. And he was like, no, they all were rooting for you and they wanted to have a moment with you. And I remember just thinking, you're right. Like, I should have, like, I don't know, it just was funny.
That must have been so nice that your dad said that.
It was so nice, especially because he was also one of the people that that made me very insecure about my singing. No, but that was yeah, it was sweet because he filmed it. My dad was there and he let me wear his jacket and he filmed it. And there is a video of that performance.
We have to find that.
A friend of mine borrowed it because she thought it was hysterical. And I've got,
Yeah, you need to find that.
Yeah.
And give it to me to put online. Okay.
And to be fair, the girl who did say I couldn't sing but act well, her and I are friends now. We actually ended up dating a couple years later.
Are you still together?
We're not still together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. I love that story. Okay, let's fast forward to high school. So that was your middle school glory days.
It was grade school, elementary school.
Oh, 6th grade. Okay.
Our grade school was 1 through 6, and then middle school was. I've been doing so good up until this point. Middle school was 7 through 9.
Okay.
And then high school was 10, 11, 12.
Well, logistics.
Yeah,
so high school.
Yeah.
Wait, we are going to high school, right?
Sure.
Great.
Whatever you want. Hey, I'm an open book.
How was singing in high school for you? What changed? What stayed the same?
Well, singing was challenging in high school. I still wanted it. And my goals were that of I wanted to sing higher and louder and better.
Faster, stronger.
No, but I wanted to just be like a belter, and I wanted to belt, and it was really hard because I didn't have access to that coordination, and
And this was all before One Voice, but what he's saying right now is he had access to chess. Did you have Rumble?
I did. Oh yeah.
Rumble coordination. Oh, you're from Texas.
Honey.
Rumble
Tumble.
Rumble and chess coordination, but he didn't have access to middle coordination, which is where a lot of tenor songs live. And so he would pull chest up.
I would pull up the chest, yeah.
Hope for the best.
Pull up my chest, hope for the best. And very unsuccessfully, mind you.
And how old were you when you did Triumph of Love?
Triumph of Love was maybe 16. Yeah.
Why that reaction?
Because even now, like even that, saying that, admitting that I couldn't sing well at 16.
What?
I don't know. There's just a lot in there. Oh,
Ooh, you're feeling things?
No, I didn't realize. I didn't play for that. Yeah, because I just remember being like there are 16-year-olds right now
yeah.
that can scream and yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, I couldn't really start singing the way I wanted to sing until I was, well, that's another.
Well, I mean, but we also have social media now where all of these, like, 16-year-olds have a platform to sing the way they are singing, and we're all seeing it, and so I think it's...
And sharing it, commenting, and liking it, and perpetuating this culture.
But tell us the story about Triumph of Love.
So Triumph of Love, it was the first musical that I auditioned for at my high school, and I was obsessed with my high school theater department. We had a really great program. It was small, but really did really good stuff. And I remember being in middle school and going and seeing shows, and just like I just couldn't wait to go to high school and audition and be a part of that. Because in my mind, I had been working professionally around the community, and I was like, oh, there's, I'll probably be welcomed, into this high school theater department, and it'll be Guys and Dolls Junior all over again. Hey, no understudy needed. So anyway, I went in and I didn't get cast that first musical, Triumph of Love, which is this like musical off Broadway, or no, it was on Broadway. It was on Broadway. Anyways, it was a musical in the late 90s, and I didn't get cast. I was the understudy. I got cast as an understudy, and I understudied a role, the lead, who had which I should have never played that lead. It was like the romantic lead tenor.
Well, it's high school.
Yeah, exactly. It should have.
You played Sky.
You're right. Oh my God, you're right.
Like so out of my title.
It was more of an Adelaide. It really was. So I didn't get cast. I was an understudy. Where am I going? Oh, okay. So the song that this character sang, the very end of his big number is an A flat, which is at the beginning of your middle. Oh, no, your head. Excuse me. I beg your pardon.
It's right. So A flat, the one that he's talking about, is right on the cusp of middle to head coordination. And remember, at this time, Philip didn't have access to middle coordination. So continue.
Yeah. So yeah, that was very much just like just you go for it and you fall flat. So, but it was something that I was obsessing over, and I was obsessing, trying to get. It was something that I like longed for. And I remember I was doing a show at the time at Casa Manana, like while we were in rehearsals for Triumph of Love, and I remember there, I was the cast list had just come out, and I was really sad that I wasn't cast. And I remember one of the nuns, she's in a nun outfit, being like, "You know what you gotta do." I didn't even tell you the story.
What?
She was like, "Ask for one rehearsal. Ask for you're an understudy. You deserve an understudy rehearsal. Ask for it, and be ready to go, and go for it, and show them."
Whoa.
Yeah, and show them what they could have had. And I remember just being, and I was like playing a Von Trapp kid, and I'm in this like lederhosen going like, "You're right.
I'll show them.
I'm gonna show them all." So I am like,
she sounds nuts.
Yeah,
she's nutty.
Yeah. Like God was on her side. She was like, "Here's what you gotta do." And I remember I went to my theater teacher and I was like, "I want my rehearsal. I want my understudy rehearsal." And she was like, "We don't have that much time. Like, you don't get an understudy rehearsal."
Yeah.
Anyway,
this is high school theater.
Like, and
you're not really the understudy.
Anyway, I didn't get one scheduled, but she ended up coming to me later and was like, so I keep on almost saying their names.
I mean,
I don't want them to see. They're probably watching. I don't want them to watch. Anyway, the gentleman who played the role of Agis had like a church event that he had to go to. Couldn't miss it. So I had to go on book. It was rehearsal. And, excuse me. Oh my gosh. And so it gets to the point of the run where he sings this song
with the A flat.
With the A flat, and I'm like getting ready to do it. And I remember looking out in the audience and seeing the theater teacher look up to the tech guy and was like, "Oh, hey, we don't." And looking over to me, I was like, "We don't have to do this. Like, we can just because there's no need for us to waste all of our time for me to just sing this song to you guys,
right?
You know what I mean? They just needed me to like be there for like."
scenes. And,
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I was like, and I'm thinking of that nun telling me, like, this is your chance. And so I was like, okay. And I, Lord knows I had gone over that song. And so I just, even though she was telling them to turn it off, I kept singing. And I'm running around just desperately. I remember like pages flying, and there were platforms because we were where the set was built. We were really getting close to the opening, and I'm like running on top of these platforms, and then the A flat comes, right, and I go for it, and it was so bad, and I'm like just screaming, like caterwauling, just like ah! and it was so humiliating. And then I like it was, the phrase is no question, it's love, and I'm like, it's love, and I mean, not even that was like way fiercer than what I did. Like I literally like it was so bad, and then I scream it, and then I go, it's love, and everyone laughed, and the rest was history. It's like, oh, Philip's funny, but yeah.
So the feeling funny, good actor, but can't sing was like
has always been a part of my story.
My story.
My interview.
Oh yeah. I feel like we've all had that moment of in one way or another.
Yeah, but I mean, the older I got, I don't remember when. Probably within the next few years, though, I had gotten to a point where I was efficiently straining. I was like pulling my chest coordination up high enough to where I could like hit the A flat. I mean, I'm sure I looked crazy, but I could hit with a heavy weight that A flat, and I so much so that I ended up singing that song for auditions later on in life, and in college I sang it.
I remember my freshman year, your sophomore year, we would work on songs together, and you would be singing well into your middle. Like this was before One Voice, before you had any access, but you'd be singing like F's, G's, but it looked like
A's, A flats,
and A flats.
A flat became like
your thing.
Yeah, like I'm gonna sing you. Yeah, and Beethoven A was like my go-to.
Oh, yeah.
That ends with an A flat.
That's nuts. That's just nuts. Okay, so what was your first experience with One Voice, and what was your reaction to it?
Great question.
I
was in Tampa, summer 2011. I was living with you at the time.
You were living with me?
Oh, with you in Dallas.
That was fun.
Then went to BTP.
Great summer.
And it was a wild summer. Oh my God. And I went to BTP, and Michael Maresca was there. I think that was his first year at BTP, actually. Maybe.
We can fact check that later.
Yeah. And he was presenting his ideas and theories. And he was saying everything that I needed to hear, right? He was saying, I grew up being told I can't sing a certain way. And he's now telling us at BTP, like, you can, like, there is a way to sing higher and louder and more efficiently and with ease. So yeah, I mean, that's all he had to say. I was like, okay, like, let's do it. Let's play. Like, tell me how to do it. Because up until then, I had studied with several voice teachers, and I literally had one voice teacher tell me, like, there are notes you will never be able to sing.
Just not ideal.
Yeah, well, and it's not true.
Yeah. They probably believed it, but...
Yeah, and she's awesome, and... Yeah.
So what happened next for One Voice with you?
I mean, I started taking with Michael. Before he even came to Texas State, he had his studio in Dallas, and so I was seeing him privately.
Very cool.
Yeah, and then he came to Texas State, and I studied with him there, and I studied with him after.
And you have an interesting relationship with One Voice, and like your journey was very different than a lot of ours. Can you talk a little bit about what that looked like?
Yeah, so Michael came to Texas State, and it was really hard because I remember when he started teaching there full time. It wasn't easy for me. It wasn't easy, and other people were like picking it up really fast, and they were gaining access to all these different coordinations and building weights, and I wasn't doing it, and it was scary for me too because I was a senior. Like, or did he come when I was a junior? No, I was a senior. And it was scary because in my mind, I'm like, I'm about to graduate, and I'm not gonna have gotten the education I need. And yeah, I worked tirelessly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a scary word to say.
You did it. You did it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it didn't even really click until after I graduated. But yeah, it was tough. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And when you say click, what do you mean? What clicked?
I couldn't really.
And look at him now.
Look at me now. No, even that took a while. Yeah, I mean, I could not sing in my middle coordination.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all, I don't know if you remember, but then it was very like old car, new car, and like I was very committed to the process.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we would have like voice recitals essentially, and we'd get up and the goal was to sing where we were,
mm-hmm.
and to not revert back to old habits. And my old habits were like literally pull up your chest, hope for the best, like.
Mm-hmm.
But One Voice is all about singing with as much ease as possible, and
mm-hmm.
not using muscles you don't need to
totally.
create sounds.
Yeah.
And in order for Phillip at that time to sing without using those muscles, my sounds were crazy. I mean, they weren't commercial. They weren't.
No.
Yeah, they weren't. No, they weren't like
yeah.
bookable sounds. But I'm proud of myself because I would get up in front of you guys and I would sing where I was.
Oh yeah.
And it was. I mean, I remember people coming up to me after that was this one. I remember I had tears rolling down my eyes singing a Coldplay song.
Fix You. I remember.
Glad you remember. Yeah.
I'll never forget it.
Yeah. People would come up to me and be like, that is like, wow.
Like you're so brave.
Yeah, like you're so brave. Like you had the nerve and gall to get up and sing like that.
But honestly, that is so much of what One Voice is about. It's about ignoring how you sound, ignoring the ego, and building, or at least trying to, what you know to be true. Even at that point when you were like, it's not really working one way or the other, you got up and you did it, and people supported you, which is what's really also cool, is like the One Voice community says like, I understand what you're working towards, even if it doesn't sound the way you want right now, and we support you in that.
I felt very supported at Texas State. I really did.
That's great.
Yeah, and it was a combination of that and just wanting it so badly that I was willing to do anything and sound crazy and be humiliated and all
mm-hmm.
that stuff. Because what if one day it clicks?
And it did.
Yeah, and it was after graduation too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's another thing that's so cool, because a huge part of One Voice is it's not always about being in the lesson. It's about taking the work home and making your own discoveries, because only so much can happen in a 45-minute time, and you went home and you kept experimenting and something clicked.
Yeah. Yeah. One Voice is great like that because it encourages you to be self-sufficient and to investigate and ask questions and explore and play mm-hmm. and like come to conclusions on your own. Mm-hmm. And of course to check in and stuff, because like I remember I went back to Michael and we had a voice lesson and he was like, oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'll never forget.
Oh, tell that. I never heard that.
What?
I don't think you've ever told me this.
Well, I will never forget when I finally started to sing in my middle coordination with like the heavy weight. Mm-hmm. I'll never forget the sensation.
Mm.
I mean, it was glorious. It felt so easy.
Mm.
And it felt that's the thing too with One Voice, like it feels different.
Yes.
It feels different. Like, you know how we were talking the other day about how like when you finally go into your whistle, like it feels alien.
Yes.
Like the resonance is so high.
You like can't feel it in your body because it is so high.
Yeah, the resonance is so high you can't feel it in your body, but it's so easy. But you're hearing the sounds that you're creating and it's like pure. It's like a pure sound.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, oh my gosh. And for me, it was such a big deal because I had all of this my whole life just being like, you're not, a great singer, or like you will never be able to sing this, or,
mm-hmm.
And I remember getting validated, like confirmation from Michael saying, yes, like you are in your middle and you're singing heavy. I remember running to a practice room, because I was taking summer school, so I was still in San Marcos, but mm-hmm. I graduated, and I ran to the music hall, and I just started singing every song I ever wanted to ever sing.
That's the feeling.
I mean, it was like I was like like going through all these songs that I've always wanted to sing, and I remember just singing them and it feeling different and it sounding like amazing.
That's incredible. But I mean, it like One Voice truly, it's for everyone, but it's for the underdog. It's for the person who has been told time and time again for years, like, you will not be able to sing that. That is out of your range. Um, and like that's why I love your story so much.
Oh my god, that just reminded me too. By the time in my high school, by the time I was a senior, I was getting leads.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember there was a part of my senior musical where Fragmented, and I kept trying to option up. And I remember my teacher going, "Oh, actually, let's bring that down. Let's bring that down." And she was this poor woman. She was trying to support me and sounding the best I could.
Yes, of course.
And I remember I was just like,
Her.
and I tried it one more time. And she just, and because I was like, maybe she didn't know what she was. You know what I mean? I really
maybe she's confused.
Maybe she's confused. Maybe she didn't know what she was. And so I did it again, and I remember her being like, "Hey, oh, actually, let's bring that down." And then I remember thinking, "Oh no, she knows. Like, I don't like."
Or maybe she thought it was tasteless that you were opting up.
But I remember just thinking, like, oh, like I need to like come to terms with this. I can't sing high. Like, even when I think I sound good, like apparently I don't sound good at singing high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Your story is so fascinating to me. Okay, so then you get access to middle coordination. Mm-hmm. Life opens up.
Oh yeah.
What is the biggest improvement, do you think? Like that One Voice has given you as a singer? Obviously range expansion.
Yeah, range expansion. And just I mean, One Voice has given me the tools to do what I need to do. Like I can't tell you how many times I've had an audition site or something, or like I'm in a show, like when we did Hedwig and I'm playing all these different roles, where I'm like, oh, I have to like do this, and it's like I go to my One Voice toolbox and I'm able to just like turn it out like super easy and efficiently.
Yeah, I have to tell this story. We were in Hedwig together, which was a dream come true, in at Key West Theater in Key West, Florida, and Andrew Palermo was directing us. And Hedwig requires rock singing. It requires a lot of like gritty sound. It requires different styles and like different voices from both the characters. And I remember in one moment, Andrew, during a rehearsal, was giving us notes. He was like, "You both, like, your voices are so malleable," is what I think the word he used. Basically saying like you can make so many different sounds. It's so cool. And we both were just like, well, One Voice. Like we went off on like this like One Voice sales pitch. I think just because like we were excited about it.
Well, and I'm obsessed with One Voice.
Yeah.
I am. It's my honor to be here today.
You really are. I mean, you are like, when I think One Voicer, you're what I think of.
Aww.
Yeah. That's so cool. So then what advice, if any, do you have for One Voicers who are maybe stuck or trying to straddle the conventional world of singing and One Voice? Just any general advice you have?
It works if you work it.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, it's true.
It's just stupid.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I've had to come to terms with too, as far as straddling. Because, you know, I think people are very protective about their vocal pedagogy and like what they've learned. Totally. Which I totally get. So for me, it's like practicing being open-minded and understanding that we really all want the same things. We all want to sound the best we can, and we all want to do it healthily and efficiently. So as a One Voicer, I think oftentimes like you'll feel like you have the key, the secret, and then you'll meet other people who are like super boisterous about how they think singing is, and oftentimes won't be in alignment with One Voice. And it's about just like taking a deep breath and like letting it go and not getting kicked out of a bar. But also too, just like in a rehearsal environment, if they're like, yeah, we want you to, you know, and they start saying all these terms that we've heard growing up, just being able to go, yeah, okay, and just translating it in a One Voice and being that way you're able to show up and do and give them the sounds that they want, without there being any awkward like, oh, you mean actually.
You're right, totally. Yeah. You don't have to say, if they are saying like Actually, can you make that a little mixier? It's a little shouty right now. You don't have to say like, "Oh, you mean pulling back my weight, so it's a lighter weight instead of a heavier weight." Like, you just can do it
Yeah,
because
there's no need to like show off your
totally or convert anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's not getting crazy.
Philip's going like door to door with like the Book of One.
No, but lead by example. I mean, yeah. I think one voice will reach the people that it's supposed to reach.
Totally. Agreed.
Yeah. I mean, would you say that most of your students are? I know you're interviewing me, but just a question for you.
Finally,
are any of your students who are like, oh, I'm here because my friend was your student first, and I heard them singing, and I want to know, like,
yeah,
like word of mouth.
Word of mouth. A lot of it is master classes. I would say it's more master classes than word of mouth.
Okay.
At this point, but no, that's a lie. Actually, there's a lot of word of mouth. I get texts all the time that's like, hey, like Tim Heller got a text last week. Tim Heller recommended you. I'd love to hear more about what you're about. And it's like, oh, cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Any other questions?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, great. Anything else you'd like to share about your One Voice journey? Anything you didn't get to say?
No, I think if you're curious about One Voice, if you're interested in One Voice, definitely try it out. And I think I'm definitely a testament to patience.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, there were times where I thought I would never get it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, me and Michael went and visited an ENT, and we're like, had a camera down there figuring things out, like what's going on, like why isn't this working?
Yeah, it's also your situation is a great example of how the coaches and even Michael, like we don't know everything. And so you walk into a voice lesson and Michael's using all of the stuff that he uses with everyone else where it works. And it's like, oh, we're slowly building middle and this is happening now. We're building weight and it's just not working with you. And so then Michael has to say with you, okay, it's not your fault and it's not his fault, but it's both of your responsibilities to come together to find the solution. I think that's the other thing that's really special about the One Voice relationship between coach and student is like we're both here to show up. Neither of us know everything. We're just trying to see what works.
Yeah.
With the information that we have today.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think that's good to collaborate in that way and to have hope that this may not work, but I mean, because I remember there being moments in lessons where I would get so frustrated to the point where it was becoming like a disservice to the lesson because I was just drilling something, and he's like, "Okay, now we just need to relax because we're not going to achieve our goals by just like punching the wall."
Yeah.
So yeah, I would just encourage people to have faith that there is a way, because there are things that I can do now that I couldn't do, and that people told me I would never be able to do, or so just keep going at it.
Yeah, proof's in the pudding.
Proof is in the pudding, and your goals are achievable.
Yeah,
they really are.
That's so cool.
And it's fun because knowing what I know now, like this year, it's like, oh, what am I gonna vocal wise? Like, what am I gonna work on this year? Like, do I want to like whistle or do I want to like sing heavy in this way? Or like, there's honestly like, you can do anything you want. So it's like, what do I want to work out when I go to my one voice gym?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you want to share with people what you're working on now?
I mean, this year I really want to, I want to sing super heavy and like my head coordination.
Cool.
What? It's just funny. Me and Zita went to a Trisha Yearwood concert.
Oh yeah.
Recently, and she of course finished her show with "How Do I Live." So yeah, and that song I was like, oh, that would be a fun song to sing at karaoke. So yeah, okay. I'll tell you, I'm working on.
I was like, are we gonna get it?
So yeah, I've been like working on "How Do I Live," which is a country ballad.
That's great.
Yeah, but I think it's a good work song because it's like it goes into head, but not like too far high into head. It just like it vacillates between middle head. So yeah, it seems like reachable and that like, oh, I might be able to like work that out soon, but it's like challenging enough to where it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I have to power a belt like a, you
Mhm.
know, a B or whatever,
Yeah.
B flat. So, yeah, I'm
That's
working
so
on that right now.
fun. Maybe when you get further along, you'll give us a little clip.
Yeah, maybe so.
Okay, I love this. Phil, is there anything you want to plug before we move on to our next segment?
We're having an $8 chicken schnitzel special.
Philip's a waiter on the Upper West Side.
Yeah, I'm a waiter at Kirsch, and right now from 4 to 8, we're having an $8 chicken schnitzel special. It's served with French fries and salad. Yeah, I'm not currently in anything, but you're more than welcome to visit my website, www.phillipcolewhite.com.
I'll put this underneath.
Yeah, go to my IMDb page, help my star meter go up a little bit. Oh, and also I wrote and starred and produced a YouTube series several years ago called Nigel Garber, which is a lot of fun.
They're really, really funny.
Yeah, so watch those. That would be fun.
So put those down underneath as well.
Yeah, and come check me out at Kirsch.
Chicken schnitzel.
It's hard to say.
You're doing great. Okay, great. I loved that. That was an awesome conversation. And now we are going to jump into our very first new segment called Vocal Trick Busters. So let's do that. Okay, great. So, Vocal Trick Buster is essentially where we take a trick or an adjustment or something that is used in the conventional world of singing and that works sometimes, and we talk about why does it work, and so we can better understand it to use it for our benefit. So today we're talking about singing through a straw. Philip, have you ever been told to sing through a straw before?
I have. Yeah.
How did it go for you?
Honestly, I don't think I ever did it.
He's like, I'm game, I'll try anything except singing through a straw.
No, I think I had a cork in my mouth. How stupid is with a cork in my mouth? No, actually, I don't think I've ever been told to sing through a straw. I've been in a music rehearsal where they told someone next to me to sing through a straw.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so people are told often to sing through a straw. It's a vocal exercise, and people find a lot of relief of tension when they do it. And we're going to talk about why that is today. But before we do that, we have to understand what weight is and weight theory. So in One Voice, we don't use the terms chest voice, head voice, mix, anything like that. We talk in terms of coordinations and weight. So coordinations is simply what notes are you singing, and weight is vocal cord intensity and air restricted. And those are big words, but all it means is how much air is being let through your vocal cords. So just like my hands right now, if they're pressed together really, really hard and I blow through them, not a lot of air is going to get through, and that's what we call a heavyweight. So like, yeah, there's not a lot of air coming through. You can hear it's really restricted. Versus a lightweight, very gently put together, yeah, a lot of air is going to come through, and this is what we call a lightweight. So what happens when you're singing with a straw is you change the space through which the air can travel. So I'm just going like, hey, what's up? Yeah, I'm singing, la, la, la. It's all coming through my mouth. When you put it through the straw, it has to travel through this tiny, tiny hole. So what happens to your brain is it understands that, okay, if I'm using too much air or more air, I can either work twice as hard and push that air through this tiny, tiny hole, or I can use less air. And for a lot of us as singers, when we go to sing a heavyweight, when we go to belt, or when we go to sing higher, we end up using way more air than we need. We hear someone making an impressive sound, or we hear the pitch rise, and for whatever reason, in our brains, we translate that as, let me give you more air, which oftentimes is the exact opposite thing that we need to do.
Preach. Amen.
So what the straw can help you do is simply close the amount of space through which the air can travel, and so it feels way easier, and you can understand what it feels like to use a balanced amount of air for the weight that you want. So what I would recommend if you're using the straw, does that make sense?
Yes.
Beautiful. Any questions about that?
No.
I like you being here. And
really?
Yeah, because normally I'm just talking and I'm like, I hope they're getting it. But it's nice. So if you're using this, I think it's an awesome tool to check in with. What I would say is sing, feel the adjustment, really, really memorize that feeling and take the straw away. And the next time you go to it, try and do it without the straw and see how far away you can get. Because what you don't want is all of a sudden you're about to go on for a show or rehearsal and you're running around like, where's my straw? Like you can't sing without it and it becomes a crutch. So I think it's an awesome tool as long as you understand why it works and you start to wean yourself off at some point. And so it's just something you check in with if you need it. Because really, we can completely control the amount of air we use and don't use. But it is a nice way to just kind of click in to something instead of having to kind of find and adjust at first.
So would you say that if a voice teacher is encouraging someone to practice with a straw, it's because they are working on...
I would say it's because they are using more air than they need.
Okay.
I know I had a friend recently who was obsessed with using a straw, and it was because she said it just feels so easy. Like I'm still doing my heavy weight, but it just feels easy. And it's because if you're going for a heavy weight, you're trying to restrict a lot of air. If you're using a lot of air and trying to sing a heavy weight and maybe you're not used to it, that's more work on these muscles, your vocal cords, that have to now restrict even more air. So by using the straw, you're using less air and more efficiently creating that heavy weight.
So it's a weight issue.
Weight, air. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Interesting.
Great question. Other questions?
I don't think so.
Beautiful. Okay, great. Let us know if you like this vocal trick buster. And if you have other vocal tricks you'd like us to bust, leave a comment below or DM us on Instagram. Also, a reminder that we are now accepting questions on Instagram for our quick question segment. That will be on Instagram. So DM us there if you have any questions for us. Phillip, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
This was so much fun. Loved it. We will see you guys next week for another One Voice Live, 6:30 p.m. CT, 7:30 p.m. ET here on YouTube. We will see you then, and thank you for watching. Say bye,
Bye.
Phillip. Oh, good. Bye.